The founder of Honda once said, "If you hire only those people you understand, the company will never get people better than you are." Always remember that often you find outstanding people among those you don't particularly like. Then, did you know 78% of employees who responded to a Harvard Business Review study said they work at an organization that lacked diversity in leadership positions? Diversity management is a topic that can no longer be ignored. Employees are placing pressure on companies to take the necessary steps to include diversity in the workplace. This should not be a punishment for any company. We need more managers and leaders to see the value of diversity management. According to Sarah Satterfield, a lack of diversity in leadership of an organization hampers innovation, prohibits members of minority groups from being recognized for their contribution, and fails to meet the client's expectations. According to CNN Money, the Millennial and Gen X generation are the most diverse in history. We see that diversity is important to younger generations. I want to welcome you all to today's lesson. I want to kick us off with a quote. "A diverse mix of voices leads to better discussions, decisions, and outcomes for everyone." Lesson 1 of Module 3 is going to kick us off with the importance of diversity management. The objectives include Diversity Management Explained, Diversity Tools, and Leadership and Diversity. Did you know gender diverse companies are more likely to perform 15% better than non-diverse companies? With that, let's have a look at our first topic. Diversity management refers to the organization's actions that aim to promote greater inclusion of employees from different backgrounds into an organization's structure through specific policies and programs. Organizations are adopting diversity management strategies as a response to growing diversity of the workplace around the world. With that, let's have a look at the different types of diversity that we find in the workplace. International diversity management refers to managing a workforce that comprises citizens or immigrants in a single national context. Diversity programs focuses on providing employment opportunities to minority groups or recent immigrants. For example, a French company may implement policies and programs with the aim of improving sensitivity and providing employment to minority ethnic groups in that country, as stated by CFI. We also see cross-national diversity management. This refers to managing a workforce that comprises of citizens from different countries. It may also involve immigrants from different countries who are seeking employment. An example is a US-based company with branches in Canada, Korea, and China. The company will establish diversity programs and policies that apply in its US headquarters as well as its overseas offices. The main challenge of cross-national diversity management is that the parent company must consider the legislation and cultural laws in the host country it's operating within. So let's look at the characteristics of effective diversity management. First off, according to Corporate Finance Institute, we see that the program needs to be voluntary. Please note that this may be different in each country. In an ideal world, we don't want companies to be forced. So a lot of countries will have diversity programs, quotas, and laws to ensure that companies comply. But we want companies to see the value of diversity and hire work with different ethnicities, religions, nationalities, and from different demographics. Great diversity management programs are therefore voluntary, and we want to encourage and see more companies who see the value in diversity management and are willing to invest the correct amount in order to obtain the necessary diversity in their company. While legislation and affirmative action target a specific group, diversity management uses a broad definition since the metrics for diversity are unlimited. The broad definition makes diversity programs more inclusive and having less potential for rejection by the members of the majority group or privileged section of society. According to Corporate Finance Institute, unlike in the past when diversity management was viewed as a legal constraint, companies use the diversity strategies to tap into the potential of all employees and give the company a competitive advantage in its industry. It allows for employees, regardless of his or her color, religion, ethnicity, or origin, to bring their talent and skills to the table. A diverse workforce enables the organization to better serve clients from all around the world. This is due to the employees having a diverse background and having a diverse point of view. It ultimately helps us to create a better customer service process. Let's look at some of the benefits that we see with having diversity in your workplace. Due to the increase in different backgrounds, experiences, genders, religion, and ethnicities, we see that there is an increase in creativity. People are able to bring their unique point of view to the workplace, and when we collaborate as leaders and employees, we see there's an increase in innovation and creativity. According to Forbes, research on creativity and innovation has been consistent in showing the value of exposing individuals to experiences with multiple perspectives and worldviews. It is the combination of these various perspectives in novel ways that results in new ideas popping up. The Center for Talent Innovation found that 48% of companies in the US with more diversity at senior management levels improved their market share than the previous year, while only 33% of companies with less diverse management reported similar growth. Diversity leads to better customer engagement, innovation, and therefore we see better profits and company reputation. Employees feel more engaged in a workplace where they can feel that they are heard and represented. Companies that also use mentoring programs with a diverse group of mentors also sees a higher rate of employee engagement. Employees feel more engaged at work when diversity is represented in the leadership and management team of that company. According to Inside, companies who are recruiting from a diverse pool of candidates only mean a more qualified workplace. When companies recruit from a diverse set of potential employees, they are more likely to hire the best of the best for that industry. In a consistently increasingly competitive economy, where skills and talent are so crucial for the company, putting together the most diverse set of skills and candidates will only benefit the company. Studies also show that job seekers are often drawn to companies with diverse workforce because it is publicly known that this is a company that represents diversity, that values it, and that encourages it. Let's have a look at the next section of this lesson. We're going to explore the different diversity tools that is going to help you to increase the diversity and inclusion programs within your company. Inclusion is not a matter of political correctness. It is the key to growth. And with that, let's look at this section. So how to add diversity into your workplace. First off, it starts with your culture. As you can see, diversity comes into your company culture, the way you engage your employees, all aspects of your company. Your company culture focuses on inclusion and diversity. According to LifeSpeak, from a zero-tolerance policy to discrimination and harassment, to accommodations for physically impaired and religious needs. Make the selection criteria and hiring process transparent. It should be clear what you're looking for when it comes to certain skills and experience above all else. And the selection rubric and process should all be transparent, and it should be the same for each candidate that you are interviewing. Finally, avoid gendered language in your application materials. Using words that have traditionally been associated with masculinity, for example, dominant, challenging, aggressive, or specific pronouns that can discourage women and LGBTQ+ candidates from applying. These are key things to keep in mind, but I have more that I would like to add to this section. Inside continues by adding that you can remove personally identifiable information from submitting applications to reduce gender, age, and racial biases. There are specialized recruitment software programs that can remove the information about the candidate so that you can look at their specific experiences and skills without your bias coming into play. Without promoting diversity, you will not see diverse people in leadership roles, and the company will not fully reap the rewards of having a multifaceted team. Worse still, you're going to lose great employees if you are not promoting diverse employees. Remember, employees want to see themselves represented. So it is so important to create inclusion and diversity even when it comes to leadership and management. We want to see diversity in all aspects, in all levels of a company to ensure that there is an actual diversity and inclusion program. Not just something that the company says they do, but when it comes to leadership, it is not on the table. So we need more of that to have a successful diversity and inclusion program. People are very honest when it comes to their exit interviews because they have less to lose. So it is a great way to speak to women and minority employees when they leave the company. This way, you are able to get honest feedback about the diversity and inclusion programs that the company currently has. It will help you to understand where you can improve, where things are going wrong, and what needs to be done to ensure that the voices of women and minority groups are heard. So now that you know how to add diversity into your workplace, let's look at some of the aspects that you can undertake to add diversity training into your company. According to HBR, one of the most common ways that companies attempt to address organizational diversity is through formal training. Yet, research on the effectiveness of such training has yielded mixed results. Some studies show that diversity training is effective. Others show it is ineffective. And still, others show that it may even lead to backlash. This may lead to pessimism regarding the diversity training because people just believe it doesn't work. But it can come down to the type of diversity training that you are offering. You have to understand the people that you're working with, the type of material that needs to be provided, skill development, and the specific period of time you have to include diversity and inclusion management. These training programs are so essential to educating employees and ensuring that there is a zero tolerance program for people who overstep those boundaries. But this doesn't mean there's a single perfect solution to creating a diverse and inclusive organization. Diversity training effectiveness depends on the specific training methods used and the specific outcomes that are measured after the training concludes. So first off, as part of diversity training, you have to explain the importance of this training and why diversity is so needed. You have to explain how the culture plays into the company and the behaviors of the employees. As we said earlier, it starts with culture, and you have to ensure that diversity is part of every aspect of your company. It's needed to train your employees in what diversity is and the importance and what behaviors will be accepted and which will not be tolerated. We have to make sure that it also starts with the leaders of the company. According to Small Business, it is not uncommon for global companies to hire employees of various nationalities and ethnic groups. Issues such as differences in pay or different treatment of employees because of culture differences could be perceived as discrimination. By emphasizing awareness of and promoting sensitivity to culture issues, employees can show they recognize the contribution and the value of these employees. It is important to understand the common issues that are being faced. Again, you can use a survey system where you can look at your minority groups, your female employees who really are struggling and they need a voice and a platform to be able to speak freely. Let's have a look at a few more. Organization leaders can benefit from understanding the differences in the way operations at other organizations are structured. Cultural differences are not limited to ethnicity and race relations. They extend to areas of religious views, sexuality, and even differences in where people come from. It can bring up a lot of emotions and people can start to resent each other. Consideration should be given to each of these areas when evaluating the organization's balance. Managers should demonstrate sensitivity to employees who express concern regarding the ability to interact with other groups. In this case, it is so important to have training, to have honest discussions, and focus on communication. It is more important to overcome these barriers so that employees can understand each other and find the middle ground. But as a manager and a leader, you need to be proactive. If you see these relation issues, step in. It won't be resolved on its own. So let's have a look at another area. So as we said, training is so important. When an organization has global operations, a complete understanding of culture diversity, it is imperative for them still to educate their employees. Because as new employees are coming in, as new aspects of the company is growing, it is important to keep educating your employees on diversity and inclusion. Mandatory diversity training for managers should be incorporated as part of development training to ensure that managers understand how sensitive this program is and why it is needed. Managers with an understanding of the importance of culture diversity can also play a key part in employee relations and retention. It is very important to make sure that your employees are educated and trained when it comes to workplace discrimination laws. Please keep in mind that these may differ based on the country that you are operating within. A company's leaders are charged with ensuring compliance with federal laws that govern the equal treatment of employees regardless of race, ethnicity, religion views, and many other individual traits. When employees believe they are treated differently because of their individualism, this perception could lead to legal trouble for the company. That is why you need programs so that you don't face these issues. But it shouldn't just come down to wanting to avoid a lawsuit. When you understand the importance of these programs and why it's so needed, you will do it because it's the right thing for your company, not just because you are avoiding a lawsuit. Next up, let's look at a few diversity management tools that you can use as a manager and a leader, or that you can use for your company. According to Tech Republic, here we see a blind recruitment app. It was created by an MIT grad. It hides the candidate's name and photo to fight unconscious biases when hiring. The app also shows the candidates a company profile, including information on the employee's resources group, inclusion programs, and diversity in executive leadership. Next up, we see a campus recruiting platform, Doors of Clubs, launched a diverse talent identification platform that provides recruiters with an online dashboard to search for and identify and communicate with specific types of diverse students. Recruiters can search through a pool of students based on gender, minority groups, schools, majors, graduation year, and location. It will help the company look for talented graduates who will add to the diversity of their company. This is a software created to remove unconscious biases in the hiring process. It helps hiring managers develop job postings that will attract a wide range of candidates and structure job interviews that focuses on the candidate's specific qualifications. This is a program that aims to objectively assess the employee's potential. It includes a calibration tool designed to help managers with performance management. Lastly, we see the talent software has been dubbed as a spell check for job postings. It uses machine learning to analyze job postings and hiring outcomes from more than 10,000 companies. Those platforms can predict the performance of an individual's job posting. As you type in your job posting, it will analyze the language in real time and offer tips to improve the post. So this is a great tool for managers and leaders, and if you are in an HR role. Then I'm going to give you guys just a quick breather, take a few seconds as I share the sneak peek with you all. In lesson 2, I am going to share with you guys organizational design. This is such an important tool as a manager and a leader. Although this is such an important tool, it is overlooked so many times. That is why I want to focus on this specific tool with you all to ensure that you all understand the importance of organizational design, how to use it, and how to help your company grow. But for now, let's look at the last topic of this lesson. Finally, the last topic of this lesson is leadership and diversity. So what role do you play in this program? Did you know? Companies with leadership in the top quartile of racial and ethnic diversity were 35% more likely to have financial returns above their industry median. Companies with executive teams in the bottom quartile for both gender diversity and racial and ethnic diversity were 29% less likely to achieve above average profitability. When we listen and celebrate what is both common and different, we become wiser, more inclusive, and better as an organization. So let's look at the link between diversity and leadership. As we said before, because there is such a diverse group, we see people with different experiences, backgrounds, points of interest, how they grew up, ethnicities, and even nationalities. It adds to how we produce solutions. Due to the increase in diversity, people are more likely to keep what is individual about them and add that to the problem-solving process. That means that we have more innovative and creative solutions to problems that the company is facing. Having diversity in leadership communicates to staff, especially diverse staff, that there is a pathway to leadership and shows them a concrete example of what that will look like. This is becoming increasingly important since it was established that population demographic of the United States will be over 51% people of color by 2040. Millennials are already more racially and ethnically diverse than previous generation. As millennials continue to move into the workforce, they will bring more diversity with them and are more likely to stay with companies where they see a path of growth and advances for people who look like them. Often informal mentors and sponsors, relationships happen organically between people who share a commonality. In psychology, the tendency of people to favor members of their own group is known as an in-group bias or affinity bias. The most salient shared trait are related to outward appearance. When there is greater diversity in leadership and organization leaders, we can see that mentors and sponsors play a very important role in diversity and inclusion programs. While organic mentors and sponsor relationships can be rewarding for both parties involved, they often exclude others. Organizations which have formal mentorship and sponsorship programs should intentionally design these programs to encourage employees to develop multiple relationships across lines of diversity. This refers to gender, race, ethnicity, and other dimensions of diversity. Therefore, building multicultural competencies within the leadership team and the organization at all levels. Finally, with research showing that companies with diverse leadership outperforms companies with non-diverse leadership. Why is progression so slow? Maybe because people aren't familiar with the research, or people may assume progress will happen on its own. Whatever the reason is, one lesson is clear. A company that is trying to increase its financial returns will be more competitive in its industry should take a long, hard look at the diversity of its leadership team. One of the best investments that a company can make is to be intentional about increasing diversity in leadership by recruiting, retaining, and promoting diverse employees. This is one competitive business strategy with a proven and handsome return on investment. This has been a lesson packed full of different terms and approaches, and I know it is a lot to take in. I want to say thank you to you all for sticking around and making it to Module 3 of the Leadership and Management Diploma. Before I end this lesson, I have a bit of housekeeping that I would like to share with you all. Please make sure to check out your toolkit items. You'll find your lesson notes, lesson slides, and additional content to help you in the learning process. For today's lesson challenge, I want you all to look at the diversity in your workplace. Look around you, and do you see enough diversity? And if not, it's time to make a plan. It's time to add diversity in every aspect of your company. But first off, investigation and research is needed. Then let's have a look at your progress. Well done for making it to Module 3, Lesson 1 of your professional diploma. Just a reminder, in Lesson 2, we are going to look at organizational design. Then I want to leave you all with this. Diversity is not easy. Inclusion is not easy. But we all understand why it's needed. So be a leader and a manager that is ready to take action and that is ready to listen. With that, have a great day, and I will speak to you all in Lesson 2.